They say money is the root of all evil. But Machiavelli would have said, no, ignorance is. Because money in the hands of a fool becomes poison, but in the hands of a strategist it becomes power. And power, Machiavelli knew, is never earned by fear, it's earned by movement. For centuries, men have been told to save every coin, to live below their means, to wait until the time is right. But what if that advice, repeated generation after generation, is exactly what keeps most men poor? What if saving is not strength, but fear disguised as discipline? Machiavelli would whisper, fortune favors the bold, not the cautious. And the one who clings to gold dies with it still in his hands, untouched, and used, and wasted. Because wealth, like power, is not meant to be hidden. It's meant to be used. To influence. To command. To create. And that's why you must spend money to get rich. Machiavelli understood something far deeper than economics. He saw that every form of power, political, social, financial, follows the same law. Power grows when it's exercised, and decays when it's hoarded. The man who holds too tightly to his wealth suffocates it. The man who moves it strategically multiplies it. Money is not meant to sit still. It is a current, a weapon, a messenger of influence. And when you hide it, it loses its ability to serve you. But when you use it with intention, when you spend to strengthen your position, to expand your reach, to invest in your growth, it returns tenfold. You see, a poor man who understands strategy can rise faster than a rich man who fears loss. Because the rich man who is terrified of losing becomes a prisoner to his own fortune. He becomes timid, cautious, predictable. And in Machiavelli's world, predictability is death. Money, he would say, must serve the same purpose as armies, words, or alliances. It must buy control. Every coin is a soldier in your army. You can hide your soldiers behind castle walls, or you can send them out to conquer new territory. But hiding them wins no wars. This is the mistake of the modern man. He saves every cent, terrified of risk, waiting for the right time. But the right time never comes. Because fortune, as Machiavelli wrote, is like a woman, she yields only to the bold. You cannot charm her by waiting. You must seize her by acting. To spend money is not to be foolish. It is to assert control over fear. The fear of loss, the fear of failure, the fear of scarcity. And until you master those fears, money will always be your master. Machiavelli would tell you this. You don't spend money to look rich. You spend it to become powerful. To invest in knowledge, in influence, in leverage. To make your name worth more than your savings. A wise ruler spends on his mind before he spends on his palace. Because no empire survives on comfort. It survives on intelligence. A man who buys tools, skills, and connections is building his kingdom. A man who only saves for someday is already ruled by another. Even generosity, Machiavelli would say, is a strategic weapon. A coin given at the right moment can buy loyalty that lasts a lifetime. A gift can silence an enemy or win an ally. The fool spends to impress. The wise man spends to influence. There's a difference. One loses money, the other gains control. And when people see you spending, they read something deeper. They sense confidence. They sense movement. They sense that you know something they don't. And in that moment, perception becomes power. Because in the Machiavellian world, appearances are not decoration, they are domination. Remember, the man who fears to lose his wealth has already lost his power. The man who uses his wealth with intelligence becomes untouchable. Every coin you spend is a statement. It says, I control my fortune. It does not control me. It says, I am building something greater than money itself. So spend on your education. Spend on your reputation. Spend on your growth. Not to waste, but to expand. Because wealth that moves is alive, and wealth that sits still dies slowly. You cannot save your way to greatness. You cannot hide your way to power. You must invest, risk, and move with precision, like a prince sending soldiers to claim new lands. Machiavelli knew, the world respects not the one who saves the most, but the one who commands the most. And money, when used wisely, becomes command itself. In the end, the truth is simple. You must spend money to get rich, not because spending itself makes you wealthy, but because the courage to spend strategically proves you already think like the rich. And in Machiavelli's philosophy, that mindset is the beginning of all empires. You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SSML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech. The greatest lie told to men is that playing it safe will make them secure. But Machiavelli would remind you, safety is an illusion sold to the weak. Because in every age, it is not the cautious man who rises, but the one who dares to move when others freeze. Money is not the goal. It is the language of motion, the proof that your decisions carry weight. And the one who learns how to make it move with purpose becomes a master of life itself. You see, wealth is not numbers in a bank account. It's the reach of your influence, the depth of your knowledge, and the strength of your network. Every coin you possess should be building one of these three pillars. If it doesn't, it's dead money. And dead money poisons ambition. Machiavelli understood that fortune follows energy, not stagnation. That's why he admired rulers who could risk everything and still stay calm in chaos. They knew that the world bends to those who act, not to those who wait. Waiting is for the ordinary. Acting with precision is for the powerful. So, if you wish to become truly rich, stop counting what you have, and start commanding what you control. When you spend strategically, you transform fear into momentum. You tell the universe, I am not afraid to lose, because I am capable of creating again. That mindset, not money itself, is what attracts wealth. Every man wants to be rich, but few are willing to play the psychological game behind it. You can save all your life, but if you think like a peasant, you'll die one. The rich are not rich because they have more money. They are rich because they think differently about money. They see every transaction as a move on the chessboard of life. Every purchase, every investment, every risk. A calculated act of positioning. And in the Machiavellian world, positioning is everything. A man who hides his wealth becomes invisible. But a man who projects his wealth, wisely, with restraint and purpose, becomes a symbol of power. Because in society, people don't believe in wealth they can't see. They believe in the image of authority, in the aura of control. And Machiavelli knew that perception often becomes reality. If people believe you are powerful, they will treat you as such. If they believe you have influence, they will offer you opportunities before you even ask. That's why the way you spend, where, when, and how, shapes how the world interacts with you. A man who spends nothing looks weak. A man who spends recklessly looks foolish. But a man who spends strategically looks dangerous. And the dangerous are always respected. Machiavelli would have admired such a man. A ruler who knows when to give and when to withdraw, when to appear generous and when to appear frugal. Because both are tools, and the wise use both to control. Perception. You must know when to impress and when to intimidate, when to invest and when to retreat. Every coin, every move, every gesture, all serve one purpose: to expand control. Control is the true currency of life. Money only matters insofar as it buys control over your time, your reputation, and your choices. And the man who controls his choices controls his destiny. So ask yourself, is your money working for you, or are you working for it? Are you using it to build leverage, or are you hoarding it out of fear? Because every dollar locked away in fear becomes a missed opportunity for power, and every dollar spent strategically becomes a step toward liberation. The man who spends on self-mastery, on wisdom, on skill, that man cannot stay poor. Because his mind becomes the engine of endless wealth. He becomes unshakable, because he knows how to recreate success even after losing it. Machiavelli would call this the highest form of wealth. Resilience. To have the ability to rebuild empires from ashes, not because of luck, but because of mastery. And yet, most men are ruled by hesitation. They worship the illusion of safety, terrified of risk, unaware that risk itself is the path. The greatest fortunes in history were born not from saving, but from seizing. The bold invested when others trembled. They moved when others froze. They spent when others hid. Because they understood that wealth, like power, Loves momentum. If you want to rise, you must move with intention. Don't fear losing what you have, fear staying the same. Because the moment you stop evolving, your empire begins to decay. Spending money the right way is not waste, it's evolution. It's how you buy growth, how you buy time, how you buy advantage. Machiavelli would tell you this simple truth: the miser dies forgotten, the strategist dies immortal. Because one left behind coins, the other left behind power. So use your money to shape your world. To learn. To influence. To dominate. Don't be the servant of wealth, be its general. Command your money like an army. Deploy it with purpose. Let it fight for your name, your legacy, your control. And when fortune tests you, when losses come, smile. Because fortune is not your enemy, she's your battlefield. And those who dare to fight her with courage, those who use their gold as their sword, they are the ones she ultimately kneels before. Spend boldly. Spend intelligently. Spend with the heart of a ruler and the mind of a strategist. That's how you turn money into power, and power into destiny. And that is how you get truly rich, not by what you keep, but by how fearlessly you use what you have.